What is up, my friends? My name is Echo Thrumi, and today we're back with episode 10 of the Spring Trap, guys. And my co-host, Cleric Dragoon and I are here with Darian, Supercell Community Manager for Clash of Clans. Guys, this is going to be such an exciting episode. We have had so many questions come in for Darian. Over 400 questions via Reddit, Discord, and Twitter. I know it's probably not that, we would expect that, guys, because all the questions that we all have can be answered by this man. Doesn't mean they all will be answered. I mean, there are some secrets behind Supercell and what they do. We all know that. But why don't we get this started? I want to pass it off to my co-host, Cleric Dragoon. How you doing today, brother?
Man, I am doing awesome. I know I'm pumped for every one of these spring traps, but today I am completely on cloud nine. Darian, thank you for coming on the show tonight, man. Getting up, I know it's early in Helsinki, and so just getting up to come talk to everybody in the stream. Thank you for that, bro. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah, 5 a.m. over there in Helsinki. So, it's 5 a.m. for the trap. That's pretty impressive. So, Darian, how you doing today? Why don't you take a moment and tell everyone a little bit about yourself and do that gig?
Well, still trying to get both eyes open here. I had the idea of when the webcam started, picture me sleeping or I fell asleep or something. Yeah, I'm the Clash of Clans community manager at Supercell. Been in Helsinki working for Supercell since May of last year. Originally a California native, but moved out here to join the Clash of Clans team, and it's been a pretty kick butt ride ever since.
You no regrets, I would assume, taking that job, huh?
Yeah, it was a pretty brainless decision. I've worked in the gaming industry for about 10 years, and when this opportunity came up, it was, I turned to my wife, said, Helsinki? She was like, yeah, let's go. So
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, it's a great place to live, and I'm really happy to be a part of this community.
Well, we're happy you're there. We're happy that you're here with us today. And what I think I'm going to do is remind everyone, if you're new to the Spring Trap, guys, the way that we work this show is a week before the show begins, we take questions via all those socials that I mentioned before. That's Reddit, Discord, and Twitter. And we take those questions and bring them to the show. So we kind of touch on all those questions. We do see what's going on in the chat, so don't think we're ignoring you. But it's not going to run like a typical live stream where we're engaging with the chat, every time something pops up. If you do have questions, throw them in the chat. We'll try and grab them later on in the show, because towards the end of the show, we take questions straight from the chat, what you guys want to hear, or at least what you guys want to ask, we try to address. So we're going to start this out right now, and we're going to take it from a Reddit question. I want to give a little shout out to Goat, according to Goat, who set up a nice Reddit thread for us over there, and a ton of questions came in. I'm looking at one person's question right here, and that question consists of 13 questions. So we're not going to get all of those. What I'm going to do is, this one is from Tasius, and it says, what do you expect the outcome of Builder Base is going to be once you've launched Builders Hall 8? So I guess what they're asking is, are people going to fall in love with Builders Hall again? What do you think the outcome is going to be when that 8 drops? That's a Super P.E.K.K.A, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the Super P.E.K.K.A, and that's the troop, our new troop that we'll be introducing in Builder Base, or Builder Hall 8. As far as what comes next after that, or what we have planned, one of the things that we looked at with the Builder Base is that there is a distinct lack of social interaction when it comes to that side of the game. That's why we added the friendly challenges in, but we would like to add more. Thinking about what are some clan competition, what are some clan elements that we can add to the Builder Base. Builder Base 8 is as far that we've already got developed so far. And we pretty much have it done. It just needs some minor balance passes, but we pretty much got it done. But right now, we're kind of solely focused on main village content. I would say Builder Basic is probably coming mid to late spring, if that. Okay. We may do it earlier if we need something to release in between what we're working on now. But as far as anything going on beyond Builder Base 8, we haven't laid down any framework for that. We'd like to kind of grow it from there, based on social clan interactions and how can we add more social elements to the game.
Okay, and that's good, because I know a lot of people have been asking for a more in-depth social experience in the game. So it sounds like that's what you're on track with. I'm going to take one more question from this list of 13 from that same person. Did you have something you wanted to add to that? Did I just cut you off?
Yeah, if you look at the name of the game, Clash of Clans, and we kind of sat there and thought about that term clans. What does that mean? And even though there's clan wars, there's very little social network that goes on within the game. Apart from, we've had to be able to see when your friends are online or see how many clanmates are online. But we wanted to explore looking at different, social safety nets. For example, what if your clan falls apart? I mean, how do you reach out to your friends? And what are these social aspects of the game that can really help strengthen what players do within the game, apart from just attacking and defending? Looking at how the builder base functions in that kind of social dynamic. What are some additional elements we'd like to add to that? And these are things that are still kind of on the drawing board, as it were. But we do notice that with builder base, we would like to see some more interaction, and whether it's through builder-based clan wars or much more competitive league type of things. These are kind of things that we'd like to grow up on.
Okay. By the way, I love that Friends Online feature. That is cool. Like one of the clans that I'm in is, from abroad. And so I'm on a different time schedule, as are you with us. So it lets me know when somebody's online to get my CC filled for attacks.
Yeah, and you can spy on them and their attacks, which is always nice.
A lot of people don't like seeing apparently they get a little anxious when they see that watching them play.
Yeah, I can understand that, but I like to be the one spying. That's the part that I like.
I say it's a chance to show off.
What's that?
I say it's a chance to show off and do some swag moves.
There you go. Yeah, if you have the opportunity. I don't usually have that opportunity myself, but others probably do. Let's grab this second question, and it says from the same person, do you expect new troop levels to be coming to the main village, or are things kind of just set the way they are? Like, are you happy with the balance of the game right now?
We're always looking at balance, and that's... I'm trying to avoid giving a generic response here, but balance, when you have a game that has that many units and that kind of complexity, balance is constantly being tweaked, especially as we add more content. We have to constantly look at the balance of the troops, the buildings, how much damage they do, how much health they have, what kind of resistances. That's kind of how the Inferno Tower nerf happened, and why the minor housing space was increased. It's this ongoing need to constantly balance and look at, what are the dominant metas, what are the dominant play styles. And then, if we see, a large number of people using the same kind of attack over and over and over again, we find that to be pretty dominating. That usually means either a unit or two or something is extremely overpowered. And you want to have diversity, let players explore, and knowing that they have a fair chance of using that exploration of different troops rather than just sticking with one type of troop over and over and over again. So balance is kind of ongoing. With that being said, adding more content, yes, if we add more content, we're going to have to strengthen a lot of things as well. So, it is possible that, more troop levels and building levels can be added. I mean, especially if we want the game to continue growing into the future.
Which we do. We definitely do.
Yes.
All right, Absolutely. Let's move to a Reddit question from Baron. And this is a huge one. I'm just going to kind of break it down into more simplistic, so I don't read a paragraph here. Do you ever consider really increasing loot bonuses up in the higher leagues, the Legends League, so that these Town Hall 11s don't drop themselves down to Crystal? I mean, I do it myself to farm, drop all the way down, but make it so that people would kind of want to... I mean, the bonuses are pretty good up there in my opinion already, but you could still find a lot of loot down in Crystal. Do you ever think of increasing bonuses up top so that people would stop dropping down and then, just dominating some of the lower Town Hall levels in those leagues?
That's an interesting question. And I think, let me ask this. Why do you feel those players need to drop down?
Well, I guess they would...
Asking.
I guess we would say that, me, for example, I just went to Town Hall 11. And the first thing that I did when I went to Town Hall 11 is I started dropping down in trophies because... I guess because there are a lot more dead bases down there and a lot more easy loot to grab, and you could train up your armies quicker because you could use weaker armies to get more, if not the same amount of loot, rather than having to cook up those war armies that you're going to need to use up in the higher leagues. I mean, there's pluses and minuses to both. For me,
Right.
I'm just farming up my base, but for someone that wants to practice, war attacks and stuff like that as well, being higher up in the leagues may be better because, they're getting practice while farming at the same time.
I mean, generally, when you get to those level of tiers, the game was a lot more difficult, a lot more challenging. So that trophy count is usually an indicator of how skilled and how far someone's progressed through those leagues, right?
Yeah.
So the higher you go, the more exclusive that league's going to be. And so you should always feel that the top end rewards should be worth that climb. But, you're looking at a pyramid shape that, the number of players gradually decreases as the higher you go. So loot opportunities become smaller because of less number of people to attack. And that ultimately results in, the clouding issue, which we can touch on when we get to that question later.
Okay.
But whether, loot should be increased to incentivize people to move up there, there's kind of a two-sided coin to that. On one hand, increasing the number of players that go to that top of the pyramid, while, having a higher population could have a minor positive effect in reducing clouds. Ultimately, if more people are online than offline, you could offer all the rewards in the world, but if you can't attack anybody, those rewards are kind of useless.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. Well, I mean, I don't have a clouds question in front of me, but I probably got 100 questions about the clouds, and I know that it's been the main topic that everyone talks about. When you start pushing in cups, you get more clouds, and with the introduction of clan games, we've been seeing a lot more clouds. It takes a lot more time to find yourself bases. Is there a correlation between clan games and the clouds that we've been running into, or why don't you just talk a little bit about that, and then I promise you I'll give you a lighter question and get you off the hot seat for a second.
I don't mind the questions. It's what they hired me for.
It's true.
With clan games, I mean to say this in a very, very genuine way, that it's probably been one of the most positively received updates that we've released in a long time.
I agree.
And that has resulted in a lot of people either coming back or hopping online or showing a lot more activity, whether, one of the common threads that I've been seeing in a lot of, forum posts and clan chats, people saying, like, I didn't know this person was even active in my clan. I haven't seen him log in a long time. And suddenly, I see him contributing to the clan games. So those clouds are kind of a byproduct of that sheer amount of activity where everybody's online trying to attack, trying to finish their clan game challenges, which means that there are less bases without shields because they're online. So as a byproduct of everybody trying to tackle the clan games and everybody showing that activity, the clouds unfortunately they drop. Those clouds reach lower tiers more than you usually would see at that level.
That makes sense. All right, so I think that's the extent that we're getting into clouds. So all the clouds questions that we've had.
Do you mind if I add one more thing about the clouds?
Yeah, sure, definitely. People want to hear it.
So, and I want to make sure that at least we address that. One of the things that we've been really pushing over the last half year is, taking a look at the core fundamental issues that are wrong with the game. And we've sat with the design team, and one of the things that we want to make sure that we're doing this year is trying to shake up as many conventions as possible that we've held on to within the game, and just shake things up a bit. Do some of the things that we always thought we would never do. Kind of add some interesting elements to kind of make the game, fresh and, I guess, reverberate with something new and different. And some of the biggest issues are the clouds, the engineering and the matchmaking system, and just looking at endgame and new content. And when it comes to the clouds, that's probably the most challenging one because it's ultimately on how the game is built. It's kind of a byproduct of the game and how it's built. So one of the things we want to do is look at how can we improve the clouds. We may look at expanding the trophy range when it comes to searching bases for those. Once you get to a certain trophy level, expand how far that search goes, looking at players in other tiers. Another suggestion that's been brought up is a head-to-head PvP system, which, while it sounds good on paper, would cause a lot of havoc because it's not something like we can just slap on a head-to-head system like a modular Lego block onto the way the game works. And not a lot of people wanted a PvP system. Some do, some don't.
Right.
So if a lot of people don't want it, how do we reconcile that with those players who don't want it? So it's not an easy thing, but ultimately, in order to fix the clouds, there's going to be a fundamental redesign of how the game works, and you're going to have to, unless this is something that we've been looking at for years, and there is no easy solution to it. It's not like we're working on this and we'll just let it sit. No, this is probably the toughest question that the game team has: is how do we fix this?
Mm-hmm. And it's probably the toughest question, and it's also probably the biggest question from the community as well. Asking, there's a couple of hot questions, and that's one of them. But let's get you off the hot seat for a moment. We'll lighten it up. Kristen, from actually the Circle of Clans, that's the recruiter for the Circle of Clans Flashback, she asks us, to the three of us, if you could be any superhero, who would you be and why? So, Goon, why don't we give that one to you first?
You know what? I'm going to say Iron Man, for one, because he's got a cool suit, like it goes off and on, he can put his armor on or he can take it off and be himself. So I kind of like that aspect. And, why? Because I'd get to fly, I'd get to shoot some stuff, it's all good. It's win-win for me.
It's funny because you just had a video come out this week where you had a thumbnail where you were Iron Man.
That's right.
Didn't you?
That's right.
Trying to live it.
Yes, I did.
How about you, Darian? You big into superheroes yourself?
Yep. I'm gonna have to say Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. That's not an answer you'd normally get. Why would you want to be Doctor Strange?
I kind of like that, manipulation of the real world. I was a big fan of the Marvel Universe movie that came out and just the way they visualized everything. But I've always been a huge Doctor Strange fan ever since I was a kid. Always collected the comics. I've got family ties to Marvel comics. So Doctor Strange was always one of my favorites. And I kind of really like that mystery persona of just being able to just manipulate all the things around them to kind of, force reality to bend to your will.
That's cool.
That's cool.
I do like that. For me, I'd probably like to be Captain Planet, just because I'm just so green. Captain Planet, by far the best superhero to ever come out. You think it's funny, but Captain Planet was the man. I think he could defeat all of you.
Captain Planet, I hear you, brother. I hear you.
Let's move on. Let's get back to another Reddit question. This one's, which one am I going to go with here? Okay, a light one here. Are more troop figurines coming to the Supercell online shop like the Valkyrie and the Dragon? Yes.
Uh-oh.
That's cool.
Yep.
We've got a merchandise team. I think, our merchandise team is in San Francisco, and we've got guys constantly working on coming up with new products.
Cool.
And those little figures were a pretty hot item, so we're looking at expanding that range.
Yeah, they were awesome. They were awesome.
As far as what phase they come out, which ones are next, I don't know.
But there's something. They're working on.
Keep an eye on the store.
Cool. That's good. And another question from this, it was actually from Geo Funny. He also asks, how long does it take to make the animation shorts you guys do on YouTube on average? It's a pretty cool question.
Those
things are awesome.
Those are nice, by the way. Yeah.
So it depends on the content. We have an animation group within our company, but we also use a lot of external digital partners who specialize in animation. They work very closely. Anybody's ever...
Am I the only one not hearing? There we go. There you go.
There we go.
Just CG animation, like a 2-minute clip, can take anywhere from several months.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay.
And they're not short, and it's because there's a constant iterative process where they, kind of concept it out. What do they want to do? Camera angles, wireframe, all the character rigging. Trying to think what else there. My knowledge of animation is kind of faded now. But it is an extensive, long process.
Mm-hmm. That takes longer than for me to make a video, for sure. How about you, Goon?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
About how long it takes for me to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, I'm impressed that you got out of bed at 5 a.m. for the show on a Sunday morning
for
too. All right.
Hey, it's Super Bowl later tomorrow, so I want to make sure I'm getting regular up, like trying to get up early so I can watch it.
Who are you rooting for in that one?
I don't know yet. My wife is not a Patriots fan. Her initials are KC, so she was a Chiefs fan and was kind of sad when they got booted. I'm not sure. I'm still on the fence of which side I want to go to.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are. I mean, well, a lot of people hate the Patriots, but you either love them or hate them. I don't really care too much either way. I'm a Giants fan, so I'm just sad all season anyways, but I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing the Eagles do something.
Are we expecting a Clash of Clans commercial this Super Bowl?
No, not this year.
Not this year. I was going to tell you, that's what got me on the game. I don't watch sports, but that particular day, my father-in-law came and turned on the Super Bowl. Lo and behold, Clash of Clans commercial comes on. I'm like, that looks pretty cool. Bingo, hook.
Excellent. Was that the Lava Pup commercial?
I think it was a little bit. It was back. The Lava Pup was after.
The Liam Neeson one.
I remember that too. But I think it was even more rudimentary than that. That was before any stars or anything. It was just like, like a real simple, basic commercial showing the attacks and stuff. Real simple. Okay. But it got me.
It's probably the very beginning with that one right there.
Yeah.
Showing the actual game. All right, I have another quick question. This is from Clive, and he or she, not sure, asks, any chance you're going to decrease... No, that's the wrong question. Would you revisit the balance of the 4 most powerful buildings in Builder's Hall? And they guess you could know which ones. I would assume we're talking about the Multi-Mortar, the Crusher, the Is it called the Furnace? No, it's called the Roaster. I don't know the other one. That would be Giant Cannon, yeah. I mean, how do you do balance changes with that? I guess the same as... I'll let you speak. How about that?
It ultimately depends on, is it needed? We have to look at what anecdotal evidence there is to, make a decision if something's overpowered or not. Mm-hmm. I think we're pretty happy where some of the balance is right now. Nothing really too skewed. I use a lot of Night Witches in my builder base attacks, and coming across a roaster or not taking out that roaster early enough is quite devastating to all of that.
Definitely.
But if you're using that kind of spray and pray type of attack, you're going to be a hit or miss when it comes to the Furnace or the Giant Cannon. But if you're using like tactical precision target or attacks, you tend to kind of find ways to override those and kind of plow through them. Mm-hmm. I haven't really seen any evidence one way or another of something being just grossly overpowered. The Giant Cannon is designed to take out the battle machine, and that Giant Cannon doesn't do the same amount of damage as it does to the battle machine. Now, when we introduce the Super P.E.K.K.A., we may have to change that because there is a new defensive unit and a new attacking troop in the Builder Base 8 when we do release it, and I think it's like the Super or the Mega Tesla or something like that.
Yeah.
So when we introduce new elements like that, we are going to have to look at the balance to make sure, and that's why I said earlier, we have to do a balance pass before we release it. We want to make sure, we're not adding an element to the game that makes it overpowered one way or another.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, well, we have another question from Scutchman, and I botched that name. I'm sorry. What problems were you trying to solve with introducing magic items? And I have to say, I love the magic items. It's part of the reason why I went to build Town Hall 11 so quickly. I actually left a few things of research behind, which I've never done before, but I had these magic items. I wanted to use them. Was it just a new, fun aspect to the game, or were you trying to solve a problem that you saw in the game with introducing them?
A little bit of both, actually. We wanted to provide incentive to players who, are either currently, career Town Hall 9s or Town Hall 10s. We want to, give them incentive to try to upgrade and get to those higher echelons because, when we get to the question about new content, it'll be addressed there. But magic items are good ways to, incentivize players. Like, maybe someone's been putting off an upgrade, or, maybe someone's, about to enter a clan war, but they don't want to upgrade their Archer Queen or Barbarian King. So, that 7 days, once you start upgrading, that takes you out of the clan war. So we were looking at, do we let them be available while upgrading, or do we just provide an instant upgrade? And we wanted to make sure that that instant upgrade was something valuable to them. It was something like you had to earn it to, like you had to make it feel like it was something that you earned and won. That way, you weren't going to use it all the time, but when if you were getting ready for clan war, or you're close to leveling it, that's when you use it, and there's a certain feeling of gratification when you do. But as far as one of the things we looked at is, the game constantly has this exponentially increasing amount of time that it takes to upgrade something. And that's something that can be really discouraging. And rather than trying to reshuffle or shorten every single timeline, we want to see, what can we do to provide incentive to people to want to move upwards, to try to tackle some of those end game difficulties, and hopefully let people see that you don't need to be stuck at Town Hall 9 or Town Hall 10 the entire time. And there's this whole new arena that that you can aspire to, especially as we add more content to the game.
Right. So you want people to experience the new content that you're bringing. You don't want them to be stuck or feel like they should be stuck.
Yeah, because we are going to be introducing new elements to the game. We've got a lot of stuff in the pipe this year. One of the things I've been trying to say that it's going to be a banner year for Clash of Clans, where we're going to be introducing a lot of new stuff this year.
I love hearing that.
Some of it I can say, some of it not. I can only go into very, very minor details.
Okay.
But we're going to be basing a lot of new content on a lot of what players have been requesting.
That's nice. So you're hearing people, which is great. I have this question. I don't know if you could answer it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. It's from the same person, and they ask, can you give us a small taste of Town Hall 12? Color scheme, new defenses, new troop, new spell. Can you say anything about it or no? Everyone's listening in the chat right now.
Yeah, it's quiet.
So I just stare awkwardly at the camera and just kind of go off on a tangent.
You could do whatever you want.
It, like how it's 5 o'clock in the morning and it's cold out. No, I'm kidding. Actually, on a strange. Actually, this is probably the first time I've seen the moon this winter.
Wow.
It's been snowing like crazy. So we are working on new Town Hall content. Whether that is in the form of Town Hall 12 or something different, that's yet to be seen. We know what we're working on, but we're not ready to really explain what that is quite yet. However, I'm trying to say something without revealing anything.
I get it.
If we do add on more Town Hall content, we don't want it to just be, you just click upgrade and everything's done. Like, we don't want to add more of the same, just more troop levels, more building levels. We want to add something that's a little bit different from what we've doing. Like, what would be a motivation for people to upgrade to Town Hall above 11, or whatever it is that we want to add to that? What is it that's going to motivate players to want to do that? I mean, when they see much more of a time sink just by upgrading, that's not a lot of incentive. So we want to make sure that we're developing something new and something different that's not more of the same. And we've got a running concept that we've been really fleshing out, and it's looking to be pretty exciting. So what are we going to call that? Well, it's going to come, sooner than people think, but it's still a while off.
Okay.
But it's going to be this year.
Is there any chance of seeing those blue lightning walls again?
I'm going to say no comment.
No comment.
I never got to experience those blue walls, unfortunately. I'm a fan. I mean, they do match the Super Pek. I don't know, crossover from Builders Hall. Who knows? All right, I have a tough question for you. I don't know if you ever had any relationship with Jake from One Hive. He was our guest last week, and as you know, he was all about getting cheating out of Clash of Clans. So he sent me a question, and I'm going to ask it. And it's basically going to be our question on people cheating that we're going to get on, and you can talk in depth or as little about it as you want. Question for you. How can you say that there's no way to prevent cheating in Clash of Clans? For years, it's been a huge problem, and there's been a lot of warning signs of this happening. He basically goes on to ask about bans being a slap on the wrist and not, perma-banning people. So without reading it word for word, can you talk to that a little bit? Why you don't just remove people that are cheating. The philosophy that you guys have on dealing with that issue. It's probably the second largest question that we receive behind Clouds.
So how do you touch on this? One of the over the winter update, we added some new security checks into the game that resulted in a drastic drop in third-party program usage. What form that came in, obviously I can't discuss those details.
Right.
But we've seen a massive, insane amount of drop in how much, private server action goes on when it comes to, the current build and how many people are using mods. When it comes to the reason why people get temporary bans, in a lot of cases, it's usually through, association rather than direct usage. Looking at the CWL ban that happened last year as well. A lot of people. What's what I'm trying to say? We had to look at how far-reaching it is, and the people who were responsible. When we see people using mods, we do them in mass ban waves for a very specific reason. We don't do individual bans, largely because when you start doing targeted individual bans like that, it gives the mod authors a chance to, modify their program based on what it is that they changed in their program and seeing what got caught. So when we do mass bans, there's a likelihood that, we'll catch a variety of different mods. So it's harder for those mod authors to pinpoint what exactly went wrong. Now, we also look at deep into data records and find out, what people are doing. A lot of times, there have been some false positives where we thought, one thing was going on, but once we took a closer look at the data, we will reverse it if we see that it was an erroneous ban. But now, as far as why some people get temporary bans versus permanent bans, that's not really a policy I can get into, not because of any kind of secrecy. It's just we have a fraud specialization team that kind of writes this policy and kind of dictates on what those disciplinary actions are. And unfortunately, I don't have them in front of me, so I can't really ask them that.
Okay.
I got a question on top of that. With the last update, being you nerfed some things and made the game just a small bit easier, I guess, from say Town Hall 9 to 10 and 11. You know what I'm saying? That gap of skill gap. Have you seen a decrease in third-party apps due to that particular update? I expressed last show that I felt like that update in and of itself would have the added bonus of discouraging that. Maybe some people feel they no longer need it anymore because it's actually achievable, 3 stars at 11 and 10, when before it was a lot harder for the average player.
It's probably a little bit of both. Like I said, we added some security systems in place that made it much more difficult to use third-party programs. On top of that, when we implemented the Inferno Tower healing change, we can heal through the Inferno Towers now. That was actually based purely on a game balance decision on looking at what the success rate of 3-star attacks were on 10v10 or 11v11, and we saw that one of the reasons why people stuck at Town Hall 9, and it may not be the main reason, but it's largely because the number of successes that they were able to get 3-star attacks on. I can't recall the percentage off the top of my head, but when you got to Town Hall 10s, that 3-star rate percentage dropped down to like 30 to 20%. And then Town Hall 11 3-stars dropped even lower, and a lot of times even sometimes during the year, single-digit percentages. We want to make it challenging, but we don't want to make it impossible. And that is incredibly discouraging when you have insane upgrade times. And then you finally get to that Town Hall, and then knowing how far you have to go to get to max level, knowing that you're not going to get a whole lot of 3-star wins, that is a huge demotivator for people to want to upgrade. So the Inferno Tower nerf, it's not the first nerf we've ever done that changed the way of a defense building functions. Tesla's used to do double damage against P.E.K.K.A.s, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
The big bomb, the giant bombs used to do more damage against Hog Riders, if I remember correctly. That was before my time. So this is what I mean by we constantly look at the game balance. The Inferno Tower nerf, I understand it was controversial, but so the Tesla against the P.E.K.K.A. was a little controversial too when it first happened. But ultimately, it made the P.E.K.K.A. a little more viable again. Same thing with the Inferno Tower nerf. We're finding that it's not an instant I win button. Like it's not all of a sudden like you can just 3-star everything. But we have seen a nice sizable bump in the amount of 3-stars that are happening in Town Hall 11 versus Town Hall 11 and 10 versus 10. I wish I had the percentage in front of me. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now. But it has been a huge motivator for people to want to keep upgrading. And couple that with the magic items, we've seen a nice uptick in people upgrading from 9 to 10 and 10 to 11.
As a content creator, I love it, man.
Yeah.
It used to take me a month to get one 11v11 video. Now I can do it in 2 different clans. I go to a couple of clans, I got 11v11 video. So I love it. I love it.
It is nice.
So we like to hear.
It is. I mean, initially when I heard about it, I mean, Goon and I, we've had this conversation. We were concerned. We were like, what's happening to Town Hall 10? It's going to be easy to take down. But after it settled, we kind of learned our lesson about judging something before we get our hands on it and can feel it. And we're happy with it, like we just said. Let's take a question that what's that?
I just said, no, nice. That's nice to hear.
Let's take a question from Lady B. She asks us 2 questions. With the current beta testing of Supercell ID login, and I know a couple of people were just asking this in the chat also, will having multiple accounts no longer be against terms of service?
Are you talking about like multiple accounts on a single device?
I believe so, yeah. I think that's what the question is being asked.
So we've released a Supercell ID just in, I believe, the Nordic region so far. But what it's going to help do is help secure accounts for account recovery and make it a lot easier. There's been talk about allowing multiple accounts on a single device and make it easier to switch between. I don't have an official statement for that I can really say yet without kind of getting the green light for that. But it's something that we are looking at, let people be able to, just swap through accounts.
Okay. And the second part of her question is kind of similar. And if so, will Supercell ever consider opening up to a verified safe account buying option for people who want to immediately jump to Town Hall 9 and above? Don't want to have to farm up from the start.
I don't know. I don't think we're ready to go that route yet, but it is something that has been discussed, especially, if you wanted to start up a second account, knowing how long that grind takes, that could be also a huge demotivator to want to move up to, or to start a second or third or fourth account. Like I've got 3 and on 3 different devices, and it's a pain in the butt trying to get it, trying to make them all even with each other. So whether we want to monetize an incentive for an instant upgrade, or if you already have a Town Hall 11, if you start another account, you already get another Town Hall 8 or something like that. We don't have anything fully fleshed out yet, but it is something that's on the table.
Okay. Cool.
Nice.
Let's get to another casual question from Twitter. It's from Deadly Gun, and he asks, if you were forced to only eat one meal rest of your life, what would it be? Food or drink? I guess they added or drink in there for you, Goon.
What's your guys' answer?
Well, if it's a food, for me, I'm going steak, man. Filet mignon for life. Let's go.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Steak is good. I'll answer mine. Give you an extra second. Mine would, if I'm choosing a sort of food, like a genre of food, it would definitely be sushi for me. That doesn't get old. I know I'm not gonna have a lot of fans of that. You have to be a sushi person to like sushi. I definitely like my steak too, but one choice, it would be sushi for me.
So I'm part Japanese, so you just kind of won me there.
Oh, okay, there we go.
I'm gonna have to say there's a Japanese dish that's my absolute favorite called katsu. It's basically just breaded meat and deep fried. It could be chicken, beef, pork. It's probably my favorite comfort food in the world. So if I had to eat only one dish, it would be katsu.
Cool.
If I had to
choose
one,
I had that one.
If I had to choose one drink, I'm a Coke addict. This is Coca-Cola.
If I had to choose one drink, it's W Fuel.
Oh yeah, my drink would obviously be G Fuel. I mean, come on, everyone knows.
Obviously.
I have three jugs of it today, guys. With the amount of questions, I figured I may as have 3 of them. Be ready to roll. All right. So while that was going, I have so many questions here. I just skimmed through them. It's another builders-based question, and it's from Lucky. And Lucky asks, for everyone, is there any possible hopes you would want a builders-based thing, like a clan wars for builders-based, not just a 1v1? I don't know if that's an option. I mean, what is this attack we're looking at here? Anything like that, or is builders-based going to stay on that line of being, 1v1 type PvP stuff?
So we want to avoid that. We're not doing anything copying Clash Royale, even though both games, technically take place within the Clash world. Mm-hmm. On a side note, if you haven't seen the Chinese Lunar New Year video of the Hog Rider Homecoming, it kind of shows him leaving, your Clash village, heading off to Hog Mountain, where his, Clash Royale arena is. So we're trying to create this kind of cohesive world where all these clashes happen. Mm-hmm. But we want to make sure that we make each game, distinct from each other. But there's going to be some crossover, whether we add, like we did if we thought about doing a builder-based 2v2 or, a 5v5 clan war type of situation, and make it. And we're also looking at, finding a way to do ad hoc tournaments. Get a bunch of your friends and throw a tournament together. So using the in-game tools to be able to just build your own tournament right on the spot with friends. So these are kind of technologies that we're looking into and seeing what are the best ways to flesh this out. But this kind of goes back to looking at where there's lacking social content, social dynamic in the builder base. That's something that we want to make sure we're adding to the game. But we want to make sure we're doing something that fits and not just add it just because we want to.
Mm-hmm. I don't mind the Clash crossover. I like it. I like both games. I play both. That Hog video was awesome, actually. It was really, really well done. I'm watching it, and all I'm thinking of is like, I could use that for a thumbnail as I go through the video. It was just
Thank you.
You're doing the same thing, Goon? I'm sure a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of us people are doing that. But the next question is a quick one. Any support coming for iPhone X? Is that? I'm sure you got it. It's there.
Yeah. The update we just did recently, if you're using an iPhone X and you haven't, if it still shows kind of like the weird square thing like this on the screen, make sure you go to your iTunes store and check for the optional update, and it added iPhone X support. There was a bug in the iPhone X build where if you're in the war screen, your chat bar would go missing. It's been fixed, but we need to redeploy a new build to fix that. So that fix isn't implemented just yet, I believe. I've been kind of offline from my work chat all weekend, so I don't know if it went out or not. But it should be. If it hasn't gone out yet, it'll be coming up pretty soon. But iPhone X support is there now.
Okay, cool. That was an easy question then. Now, is that a problem you have with new phones coming out all the time? Is that a constant issue you guys have to deal with updates?
It's easier when it comes to iPhones because there's a standardized format that Apple uses. When it comes to Android devices, because there's so many different form factors, it's a lot more difficult to try to get the proper aspect ratio for each device. Mm-hmm. Like I said, with iPhone it's a lot easier, but the problem that we had with the iPhone X was one more of supply than anything else. It was kind of hard to get our hands on working models because there was such a short supply of them. We had the developer kit and everything else, but we had phones trickling in. I finally got mine just recently, and I put in a request for one back in like October. So that's how long it's been taking for us to get them. But we do. The other reason why it took so long for the iPhone X support to happen is that we were working on the clan game stuff, solely on the clan game stuff over the winter holidays. Mm-hmm. So it kind of took us a while to prioritize iPhone X support, and we realized we had some time on it because that supply is so short. The number of people using an iPhone X was relatively small, so it wasn't really a pressing need to do so. The game still worked; it just wasn't optimized for it. But we finally had some downtime between the clan game. Now we finally had that time to kind of push the iPhone X priority to the top there, so kind of get it out.
Okay, cool. Well, let's move on to the next one. It's a lengthy one right here, and it's from Ward from Elite Academy, one of my buddies here in the circle. I'm just going to read it straight from what he said. He says, are there any plans ever to provide us players with the option to scroll the troop scroll? I'll pick armies based on how much space they take up on the screen. The easiest way, I think, to at least listen it would be to allow us, the players, to order the troops prior to the battle so that you don't have to deal with the scrolling issue. Have you heard of this issue before?
Question.
You missed the question?
Basically, it partly cut out, but...
He's talking about the scroll like at 10 and 11, like having a multiple troop comp. It's a lot of scrolling.
I guess that's wholly dependent on what device you're using, is it not?
I would guess so.
I don't see that when I use my iPad. And that could be just an issue of which form factor it's using. I do see it on my iPhone. I don't know if it's something that's ever been considered to change around. But if we add more troops, that's something that may be necessary to look into as far as changing how the UI functions. Because if, let's say one day we add, 10 more troop different choices and you want to try one of everything, that's a lot of scrolling to go through.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
We may have to look at finding ways of optimizing that.
But as of right now, it's not a big enough issue to be working on anything for it right now.
No, not at the moment.
Okay, cool. We have one. Where was this one? Oh, Sirius asks, would Supercell ever consider adding a second name change?
Gems.
10,000 gems.
We're not going to be that cruel.
I'm just joking.
It is on the table. We need to find a way that, it's not something that, people can do just whimsically all the time. We want people's names to have impact in the game. We want them to have meaning, and we don't want to make it into a cash grab either. Like, we don't want to 10,000 gems, and that's going to upset a lot of people. But we want to make sure that those name changes are meaningful, that people do stop and consider, why are they changing it? Is it just because they spelled something wrong, or do they not like it, or are they using it just to try to troll people? So it's on the table. I can't say anything definitive about it right now, but we have made a decision on it.
I think it's funny. I think it's funny that most of the questions are things that you guys, you've heard before. I guess you guys are reachable through social networking now. You're hearing everyone shoot these questions your way, so they definitely reach it to your table, which is cool.
So I'm going to let you in on a little, gaming industry secret.
Yes.
A lot of game studios make games based on what those developers want to play. Meaning, they, look at what ideas they come up with, and hopefully the player base aligns with what they want to play. And that's kind of what makes a successful game is, the developers have an idea of what they'd like to play, and hopefully the players are aligned with that. But when a game has been out for a long time, and I'm not just talking about Clash of Clans, I'm talking about any game that's, been out there ongoing, running for, more than 5 years, there comes a point where you have to start looking at what the players are requesting. Because we have to look at them for a lot of inspiration on, what's keeping them in the game. If they've been there for 5 years, there's obviously something drawing them into the game. What is it that, they would find interesting and fresh? And we have to look at what those loyal players and how can we reward them for that. So one of the reasons why we've been paying close attention over the last half year and going forward, why we've been saying it's a brand new year for Clash of Clans, is what we're really looking at, what the players want to see in the game, and we're genuinely taking a look at those suggestions. Now that doesn't mean any suggestion we come across we're going to implement it, because while 500 people could want this, there's opposing 500 people who don't want it. So it's up to the developers to look at, we like this feature, but we like also this feature. Which one is going to have the greatest impact on the game? So there's a bit of compromise between what the developers want, what the players want. And the clan games are a good example of that. People have been wanting player quests or I guess player quests is the right word for it. That's something that people have been wanting for a long time. And it's an element that the developers have been wanting to add for a long time. So what was a good way to make a compromise about how the players wanted it, and just something that, we can provide motivation for people to want to play an upgrade. Mm-hmm. So looking at things like name change, new town hall levels, new ways of doing clan wars, things like that. These are things that are all on the table, and we're looking to shake a lot of those conventions up.
Now, let me ask you this. I'm sitting here thinking while you're talking, have you guys discussed the possibility of new troops maybe at lower town halls? I know you're focused on 12 and pushing the game towards the end game, but as a content creator, for me, if there were some possible new troops from 9 up, that gives more content creation, more attack strategies. It's just something I'm sure you guys have discussed that, but maybe so. Is that or possibility?
Well, first, let me say 2 things. I think my mom is watching this stream. So hi, Mom.
Did you see her in the chat or something?
No. I think she sent me a text saying I'm watching you.
Good.
So, and I just saw that. I was looking at the chat and I just saw Powerbang. I just want to say hi to him too.
Yep. What's up,
PB's in.
Yeah, hi PB. As far as new troops, things like that.
I love these questions.
The tough one.
There's so many things I want to say. Like I said, it's going to be an exciting year for Clash of Clans. I'm gonna leave it at that. It's going to be a good year.
That's good enough.
Yeah,
that's good enough.
There are aspects of the game that have been in there for a long time. How do I say this? That it's a function or it's a feature of the game people have been clamoring for years. And we want to add on to it. And we want to make it rewarding. God, this. There's so many things I want to say because it's so freaking cool. So I'm just going to say this. It's going to be an exciting year, and you are going to be rewarded for all that patience.
Boom. That's good enough for me. You got me stoked. I'm ready.
That sounds good to me, too. And everyone that creates content, I know the game's not for content creators, but it does make it exciting for us. And, our plan is always to bring that info to the people, so it's cool.
Right.
Stoked.
Right.
Let's move on before we make you sweat a little bit more over there with the questions. This is probably our third most popular question that came in. The one was the clouds. The one was cheating. And now one is based on I'll just read the question. CS High asks, what is the dev team currently doing to discourage the use of engineered accounts in war? You had to know that question about engineered bases was coming. Do you guys look at it as a negative thing in the game? Do you look at it as something that needs to be fixed? Or is it just going to be, that's just part of Clash of Clans? People could do that. So
one of the things I want to clear up about engineering is that, no, we do not flag accounts or clans as engineered. There was a rumor about that going through that we are flagging accounts or flagging bases as engineered. That's simply not true. It's a symptom of how the weight system is designed. And while technically engineering isn't really breaking any rules, they are taking advantage of the system in a way that, when the development team, first put Clan Wars into place, I can't say, whether it was, by accident or oversight, but, it was never intended to be used that way. It was supposed to be intended as, fair bases versus fair bases. And unfortunately, I was a hardcore, Magic the Gathering player. And you try to find ways, and also, RTS PC games, and you try to find ways to min-max the system. That's what competitive gamers do. They try to find a way to maximize how much they can win in the quickest way possible. So when it comes to engineering, we want to find a way to kind of balance it out a bit. That's what some of the tweaks to the matchmaking system have gone on over the last, half a year. We've seen a drastic improvement in the matchmaking, but we know it's not perfect. We know it needs a lot of work. We're not done tweaking it. There have been a few recent changes to it to try to make town halls match up a little more evenly with town halls. we didn't wait the town halls. So I know that's a request that a lot of people are asking for, and there's a lot of reasons to. Are you pointing at me?
No, I was pointing at they're telling me to wave at them.
The bottom line is this, we want to make the game as enjoyable and even-handed as possible. And unfortunately, anything with a, advantage over one side over the other, that can ruin the fun for a lot of people. Now, the engineering issue isn't as widespread as we thought. Like it's not like the majority of clans doing it, but it is a significant enough a problem that, it's one of the most vocal complaints that we get. So one of the things that we're working on, I guess how to say this, we have an idea for a system that we're working on. It's going to change how clan wars work. We'll share those details as we get close to it. But we're looking at a new system, and it should take care of the engineering problem.
Wow.
More excitement.
Wow. Yes.
It'll be this year.
Cool.
Wow.
I mean, we're finding out there's a lot of new stuff coming, which is really great to hear. I'm happy about it.
A lot of stuff. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff coming this year. More content, in more ways than one. Cool. I know that sounds ambiguous and vague, but it's not just more content. It's not just more of the same.
Wow. Cock hype is right, Bash.
Yeah, boom. Definitely. All right, let's get to a couple of the more casual questions, give you another break from the hot seat again. We got one coming from Gamma Lauren Nicole in the chat right here, and she asks, what's your favorite non-Clash phone game, non-Clash/phone game? So what other games do you play that's not a game that you work for? And I mean, we'll answer the same question.
I'd probably say one of my favorite games, right? Just on mobile? Or
anything you want. Any game you like.
So this is my first time in the mobile industry. I've been in PC games for the last 10 years. But there's always one PC game that I always go back to when I just want to sit down and just, waste time playing something. And it's a game from the 80s called Ultima 5.
Someone Google that. What is that game?
I have no idea.
It's an old PC RPG. It was groundbreaking for its time. And for some reason, it was the PC game that really opened up my eyes to, storytelling elements in a PC game or in gaming in general. So it's a perennial game that I constantly go back to when I just want to, play through something. It's a very typical good versus evil type of story, but there's like morality points in the game. Like if you have a choice, like, do you give a beggar change or do you shoo him off? And you give him change, that increases your compassion points. So you kind of want to become this like virtual, I guess, avatar of justice and goodness in the game, but it's not an easy path to do because, you could have two good choices and you have to choose one of them kind of thing. It's the game eventually went to kind of 2.5D, then spawned an MMO, and then the game kind of died out after that. But even the MMO is still ongoing to this day.
Wow.
What about you, Goon?
For me, I'm a first-person shooter guy. Clash of Clans was the first mobile game I actually liked. I played like Angry Birds for a little while, and that was kind of boring. So Clash of Clans is pretty much the only mobile game that I play. But I play first-person shooters on the PS4 platform, and right now I'm currently playing Star Wars Battlefront 2, the controversial microtransaction game. But that's just it for now. And plus Call of Duty from time to time. Like if I don't know, I'm hearing microtransactions are back, so I'll just go back to Call of Duty. That's it in a nutshell.
For me, I was always a first-person shooter, third-person shooter person myself. I started out with Gears of War, Halo 3, and Call of Duty, of course. When I started getting into mobile, I actually got into mobile games because of having kids and just not having time to spend in front of my PC or my Xbox at the time. So I switched over to mobile, found Clash of Clans, and that's where we are today. So I just got the new Call of Duty and I realized that I'm awful at those games now. My skill set is completely gone. And I see everyone like Clash Bashing and Nick at Night and Molt, they're all playing Fortnite. So I'm like, oh, let me download this. This looks great. And my God, I am awful at that game. I want to do the game. I want to play the game and have some fun, but it's I'm a Clash of Clans player now. I don't have that skill set anymore. It's gone.
Well, the interesting thing about working in the gaming industry, one of two things happen. Either you stop playing games or you go hardcore even more into games.
Yeah.
Because, sitting in front of a computer working on playing video games all day long, when you get home, sometimes the last thing you want to do is play a video game. So, being in the industry for over a decade, it has changed how I look at how I approach games. And I noticed that I play a lot less PC games now because I'm in front of my laptop all day long. But I find myself playing a lot more mobile games. The interesting thing, you mentioned FPSs. I can never use a keyboard and mouse for FPSs. I'm a controller.
Yeah,
Me
I like
too.
to control it myself.
Me too.
Okay, good. I'm not the only one.
No, I love the idea of keyboard and mouse. I want to be good with it because I know it's a better way to go. Yeah, I have mine right here also. I got my classic Xbox 360 guy right there. All right, we'll move on to another question. This one's from Late Sleeper, and he has a question for each of us. It's another casual one. It's if you had to choose, which would you choose? So it says, Echo, if I gave you two choices for my coffee ops, would it be decaf or none? So for me, if it was no coffee or decaf coffee, I'd have to go with decaf. For Darian, it's European coffee, cafe, or American?
I don't drink coffee.
No. And the Coke is the same there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
They use real sugar here.
They use what?
They use sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup.
Okay. That's better
Nice.
for you from the health aspect.
Yeah, my wife's the coffee drinker. I'm not.
And for Goon, it was, and take a long time to answer the question because I don't have one to follow it up with yet. Goon, Irish coffee or Folgers?
Irish coffee or Folgers? First off, what is Irish coffee?
Is that an alcoholic
Is that
beverage?
is that liquor and Bailey's? I mean, is that Irish coffee? I don't know.
I don't know.
Being that I don't know what Irish coffee is, I'd have to go with Folgers. Is that my choice?
That was it.
Folgers?
That was it.
No Starbucks? No Starbucks? I'm just kidding.
No Starbucks.
Yeah, I could do Folgers. I'm not like a ton a coffee drinker a ton or nothing. I'm kind of more of Mountain Dew. I'm a Mountain Dew guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't like that either.
But I will drink coffee. Yeah, I am not. Yeah, coffee and whiskey is Irish. Well, then I need to try some Irish coffee. That's all I'm going to say. I have not tried Irish coffee apparently. So thank you, Bad Spieler. Next question.
Next question is from Jess VN. She asked actually 12 questions, but I'm going to grab this one. Why can you only upgrade, I think it's 125 walls at Town Hall 11? Why can't you do all of them? Is you didn't want the grind for it, or what's the reason behind that?
A little bit of both, grind and balance. If every wall was upgradable to max, that would increase that gap between 3-star successes significantly. But we've been, as we increased the power level of troops, especially in Town Hall, we added more troop levels. We had to kind of look at, are these walls enough? So it's, again, this goes back to the ongoing balance thing, but it is largely an issue of balance.
Mm-hmm. All right, I have one from Pressure asking about all of the competitive war leagues, CWL, NDL, and the plethora of other ones. How do you guys feel about all these leagues being put together, around your game? I know that you guys are involved with CWL. Are there other ones that you guys are involved with also? What's just basically the feeling on all those leagues?
So our involvement in leagues is actually very minimal. Mm-hmm. We don't host them. We provide them, media outlets, whether it's through a live stream or provide them with an arena for it. But we have actually very little involvement in managing the affairs of those leagues. They're pretty much independently run. Mm-hmm. But we do appreciate how much hard work they do into it, and we want to make sure we kind of give them as much spotlight as possible. One of our other community managers, Monica, she's pretty much the War League kind of live stream person. I'm kind of her sidekick when it comes to those events. But as far as, how much we involve ourselves in it, and what do we think about it? We love it. We're happy that these leagues pop up all over the place, and we'd like to see these things organized. We're kind of looking at a system of how this kind of ties back into the engineering thing of how we want to approach clan wars in the future, and what do we want to change about it, and that this could also have a very significant impact on how the tournament scene works as well.
Okay. I'm gonna put this out there right now, guys. The show's been running for an hour, so I guess at this point in time, if you guys have questions in the chat that you want to ask either Goon, myself, or Darian, it's probably a good time for you to throw them up in the chat, and I'll kind of copy paste them onto my list over here, and we'll try and get to those before the show is over. Not sure how long we're gonna run, but we do have some more left over. But I wanted to get to you guys as well. I know that you're here, and some of you are dying and holding on to those questions. So if you have them, now's a great time to throw them in the chat, and we'll start getting to them. But in the meantime, on Twitter, Matt asks, how much % of COC success do you think comes down to all the YouTubers that you have that create content for your game? I mean, there's some really large people that are basically promotion for you guys. How does that turn out for you?
Yeah, I want to say it's a symbiotic relationship where, we want to get, we get exposure from you guys, and that there's no denying that helps, spread. The word of mouth advertising is always the best form of advertising. And this is coming from someone who's worked in advertising and marketing.
Okay.
So the work that you guys do, it is invaluable. We want that to grow. And also we want to help, those YouTubers grow and, help content creators grow. If that's something that they can monetize and make a career off of, by all means, awesome. We love that. So, it's a matter of, one hand helping the other kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, Powerbang was agreeing with that in the chat too. And he's probably the one in the chat right now that's been working with you guys the longest. So that was nice to see.
Yeah, but he's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't met him yet myself.
No, he's a little sketchy.
Uh-oh. Shots fired.
And he smells weird too. So I never sit next to him on the bus when he's in Finland.
God. Oh, wow. Here we go. Shots fired.
All right, we got another one from Late Sleep.
I'm waiting for him to type something in chat.
Yeah, I'm watching that too.
Oh, boy.
All right, we have Late Sleeper saying, you're in Finland, so it's a given. What's the weirdest way you've eaten reindeer, caribou, or anything from North America?
Oh, reindeer. Not one of my favorite meats here. I'm a ribeye guy. So
okay.
And in fact, I almost set myself on fire tonight with the barbecue. I had reindeer sausage quiche at the office.
Okay, that's
not
weird.
My favorite dish ever.
No. We've had someone in the chat. They keep asking about Clash-O-Rama. What's your involvement with that? I mean, I would assume that they were a company or a bunch of people that started creating content, and you guys kind of started working with them. How did that relationship form?
The Clash-O-Rama guys, I don't know if I'm actually allowed to say who they are, if it's not already known. If it isn't already known, I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Okay.
But they've been fans of Clash of Clans, and they're actually some famous animators and story writers for a very, very, very famous TV show. And apparently they were having a script meeting over one of those shows, and one of them noticed that they were playing Clash of Clans, and the idea that all of them started getting hooked on Clash of Clans while they're in these script meetings, they came up with the idea for a cartoon for it in a comic strip, which is how Clash-O-Rama was born. It's a lot of fun. I like it, and obviously that's their own individual take on how the characters act versus the way ours do in our animated sequences. There's a huge following and fan base for it, and I believe they just either released or are releasing season 2 of Clash-O-Rama. We've had a meeting with their animators and script writers, and it's something that we have a very mutual relationship with them, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, they show us early test concepts and storyboards, and some of them are pretty hilarious.
Yeah, well, it's enjoyable to watch. I mean, Clash people are gonna like that show. It's just diehard Clash people follow Clash stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime we post a new Clash-O-Rama, I guess comic or video on Facebook or Twitter, it's probably one of the most viewed things that we post on our social media.
Is it? That's
nice.
Great. Good for them. Clash Captain in the chat asks, this is a great question, what's the most effective way to provide ideas for Supercell or COC? How can people share ideas with you or things that they want to see?
So this is a kind of a controversial one. And I know people are going to probably erupt with anger when I say this, but our suggestion forums. And there's a very specific reason why we never reply there. Part of it is, there are so many suggestions that come out that once we reply to them, a lot of time, very rarely is the suggestion actually unique. It isn't something that, we haven't thought of or haven't discussed, or that it hasn't been posted, 1,000 times before. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't look at it. We all pour through the suggestion forms on a regular basis, and these help us flesh out those ideas. A good example of that is the clan games, player quests, the layout editor for the maps. There's a lot of features in the game, the gem mine. There's a lot of features in the game that are based on player suggestions, and you're going to see a lot of them this year. But to be able to just go through just the suggestion forms alone would require us to hire another community manager solely to manage the suggestion forums.
Wow.
And we don't want to. It would suck to if let's say you spent an hour or 2 hours or 5 days writing this long-winded suggestion with all these details. It would suck pretty badly if we just said no, we can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we say, okay, yeah, if this is going into the next build, or this is something we're working on, are there legal ramifications of, someone can claim a copyright over what they created? So there's a very, very specific reason why we can't and don't reply to the suggestion forums. But we do read it regularly. We pour through those suggestions on a regular basis.
So that's the place to do it. And if you think it's worthy, it's on your table whether you respond or not.
Yep.
Okay.
Believe me, a lot of ideas from the game have come from that forum.
Nice.
That's a perfect answer to the question then. I don't think that would get anybody mad, to be honest with you. A great question.
Now that they really know, they know that you guys are actively pursuing that forum. So even if they don't get a response, they know you're not going to, but you are looking.
Right. Well, and I want to be clear on something. There's a difference between someone saying, hey, make walls cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not really helpful. But when someone takes the time to write out a post of, make walls cheaper because it'll affect this, like well thought out concepts and ideas are much more valuable to us because it shows, how this might affect the game. But when people say, we demand this, or I want this, those tend to be suggestions we see, okay, yeah, that would be nice to add in, but we'd like to see the kind of thought process behind it.
Yeah, well, it's like whenever you have a criticism, it's nice to have a solution to the criticism or an idea behind it. It's just,
yeah,
in life in general. I have a great question here, and I never even thought of it, and it's from Sabrata, I think, in the chat right here, and they ask, who's the main person behind the initial concept of Clash of Clans? Was it a one person? I mean, I don't know if even anybody knows the answer to that question.
It was a few people actually. A couple of them are still at Supercell.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, I'm trying to think of how many people are from the original team are left. Quite a few actually. Some of them have moved on to other projects. Some of them are still within the company, kind of either moved up or moved to other teams. As far as who was initially responsible for it, I know a few of the original developers for the team, have left Supercell. So I couldn't exactly tell you their names right off the bat. Most of them were gone before I started with Supercell.
Okay, names don't matter, but it's cool to know that a few of the key people are still there and still part of the dream.
And in
That's
fact,
awesome.
the people who are still at Supercell are still very involved in the game.
Cool.
That is cool. Trading resources within the clan. You have these people that are going to stay a max Town Hall 9 for life. They don't need any of the resources that they have. Any plans of allowing them to share with clanmates?
It's not something that's in the works. It's not something that we really considered.
Mm-hmm.
One of the concepts that we looked at early on was like a clan base where people can contribute resources to for specific reasons. It's not anything that we're working on now. It was just something that we just kind of concepted out for a while. It may be something that we may do later on, but I think the most important thing, if someone's at Town Hall 9 with extra resources to burn, we need to provide them with a reason to upgrade to Town Hall 10. And I think that's a bigger motivator for us.
So you want people progressing. You don't want those lifers at Town Hall 9, Town Hall 10. You want them to move on.
Especially if we're going to be getting more content and the way that, what we're looking at for changing clan wars. Yeah, we want people to be motivated to upgrade.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Progression through the game. Yep. All right. More levels in the campaign map, the Goblin map there. Captain Crusher's asking about that. You gave us a look again.
I'm going to have to say, and I'm going to say this slyly, no comment.
No comment. Okay, fine. Next question. And I'm running low on questions, guys, so keep it going. I'm seeing a lot of questions coming in the chat, but there are things that we've addressed maybe earlier in the show, and I don't want to be repetitive, so you could always watch it later. But we have Jules asking, there's been a lot of complaining about witch attacks, especially at Town Hall 9 level. Does Supercell have any plans of nerfing witches? I know that they were nerfed before, they were brought back. There are a lot of witches at Town Hall 9, but...
I don't. There's no plans in the works right now. This kind of. Sorry, I think I just got something caught in my throat. Again, we have to look at the overall game and how the balance works, and not just at a specific unit. Is there something on the defense side that that needs to be buffed up rather than the witch being nerfed? So I'm trying to think of when someone's using witches against that Town Hall, are they using, higher level witches from a Town Hall 11 or so? More context is kind of key for that question here.
Okay. I understand. It's not like, there definitely are a ton of witch attacks at Town Hall 9. That's what you see a lot. But you also, since the latest updates and stuff, we've been seeing a lot more hog attacks. Laloon has never gone away. So since the update, I have seen less. There were wars where I would go through the Town Hall 9s and you maybe have one attack that wasn't a witch attack. But it has changed since that winter update. So that was cool to see also.
So I want to add something to that really quick. And if you're saying there's been an uptick in witch attacks, and I wonder if that's because people are switching their Inferno towers to single for the extra damage instead of multi.
I'm saying there's been less witch attacks. I've been noticing.
Less witch attacks.
Yeah,
okay.
less witch attacks.
And I think you're referring to Town Hall 9 too as well, right, Echo?
Yes, I was talking about Town Hall 9 where there were witch slap attacks.
Definitely I've noticed a little bit more air due to the buff to the hounds and of course the Expo nerf. But me and Echo both see a fair amount of witch attacks as well.
Yeah, but if a month ago I would have said that something needs to change, I've done videos on it. But now it's not 90% of the attacks I'm seeing at Town Hall 9 anymore. So it's right. I think it kind of balanced itself out without actually having to nerf the witches, and that's something I like. And bringing Clash Royale into this for a second, I love Clash Royale, but that's one of my least favorite things. It's different than Clash of Clans, but I spend time, I spend money, I spend epic Sundays getting my cards upgraded just to have them nerfed, and then I feel like my whole deck in Clash Royale is gone. So I'm not a huge fan of nerfing things. I'm a bigger fan of balancing them in a different way. That's just me going off on a tangent there. But with that question, do you have, I know that you're the Clash of Clans community manager. How much involvement do you have in the other games coming out, like Brawl Stars, Clash Royale, and Heyday for Duke there?
So it's kind of a weird question. And it's based kind of on how Supercell as a whole works. Everybody has a way of contributing to all the games, whether it's a matter of just providing feedback or meeting with the team designers. Even though my role as community manager, I help write a lot of the text in Clash of Clans. But I've done some writing for some other parts. So there may be occasion where one of the team leads or one of the designers or one of the other community managers say, hey, I need help writing this. Can you help contribute to this? So we kind of contribute laterally across Supercell in certain ways. While my main remit is on, or my main functions on Clash of Clans, I may find myself contributing to another game every now and then. So it's kind of like how much do you want to contribute to those games.
I get it. So you're actually like having lunch with people from other areas. You're in the same office and you're intermingling.
Yeah.
Cool.
On a regular basis.
That's cool.
Teamwork is the dream work.
What's that?
Teamwork is the dream work, man.
I have a question come in with Spooby. I want to say thank you for Spooby helping us set up the stream earlier. He was here early with us, helping everything look good. So thanks to you, brother. Would you ever incorporate Boom Beach's idea of operations to bring the clan together, have people plan attacks, and bring down overpowered bases? And I had someone else ask a question similar, like mega bases. And that's not only for Boom Beach, that's for Brawl Stars now too, where you're going against that big hero. Multiple people come together to take down a bigger thing. Can we just get your answer from that look again?
Yeah.
That's going to be a no comment.
Next question. Next question.
Let me. Like I said, this is a year we're going to be adding a lot of unexpected stuff to the game.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few questions in this video that have touched on some things that we're really excited about.
Cool. I'm glad that you're excited about it too, because that builds the hype for us and the excitement for us, and that's great. Jewel, no, we got that one. MB, has Supercell thought about adding a most looted leaderboard, just like the trophies are, so people would get credit for looting the most amount of gold, elixir, dark, stuff like that?
So we're looking at ways to allow clan leaders to, I guess, reward members of the clan. For example, like let's say you just finished this brutal clan war and you had one player who was like the MVP who, six-packed their bases. And if it wasn't for that person's clutch attacks, that you wouldn't have won the war. Like what's something that, we can do? Like let the clan leader tag them as an MVP and, lets them set up a flag in their base that shows MVP for that clan war or something like that. And it's something, trying to find ways for clan leadership to reward its players in a certain way, and just be able to create labels, clan flags, things like that. To kind of tie back to that question, it's something that we are looking at trying to do.
Okay, cool. We have another one here. I'm just trying to get it so I can see it here. It's from Clash Bashing, and he asks, any thought of new troops or even making troops like the Ice Wizard and Giant Skeleton permanent? That's been asked a lot on this show. They're in the code. They're there. In the past, people have said, when they're not permanent, it's because when they're permanent in the game, they're not special anymore. I think it was Klaus we had on here that was saying that that's his feeling on it, that you guys always want this to be something special. So what's your take on that?
So one of the things that is easy to do about special troops and seasonal troops is that we don't have to worry about balancing too much, because they're only in the game for a short while. And sure, like the Giant Skeleton was a great unit for tanking and blowing stuff up. But because of it, like we didn't have to worry about how much it affects the metagame, because it's only in there for a short amount of time.
Right.
If we wanted to add a troop like that to the game, we have to look at, how is it going to affect the meta? How is it going to affect the game balance? And not just at, your town hall level, but at all town hall levels. Now, with that being said, there were some talks about adding, the Giant Skeleton and Ice Wizard as permanent troops into the game, and we were pretty close to it. But we realized that we needed more data on how that would affect the game.
Gotcha.
Whether we're going to add it in a future update permanently, I don't know yet, and that's a genuine answer. Like it's not something that we've considered since this last winter update. But if we were to add one of those seasonal troops, it's got to make sense for it. Like, for example, adding a pumpkin barbarian doesn't make a whole lot of sense if it's not Halloween. If we add a winter, like if a Santa Claus troop or something like that, that's going to pretty much stay Christmas related. But when it comes to the skeleton or Giant Skeleton or the Ice Wizard or anything like that, something that can kind of be throughout the year, we have to look at what the greater impact on the game is. But if we have a cool concept, or if we find a way, or if we find that we can keep it balanced in the game, then I don't see a problem with adding it.
Which one? This is just a question from me. Which one of the troops, the special troops, is the community coming at you saying it's their favorite? I know Late Sleeper.
Wizard.
What's that?
Ice Wizard.
The Ice Wizard, really?
Yep.
Nice.
one, that we could probably get that one the most, but the giant skeleton is a close second.
The giant skeleton just looks awesome. It's just a cool looking troop.
So when the giant skeleton event happened, I thought people would recognize the name Jack Skellingboom a lot more, especially considering it was the event was titled Nightmare Before Clashmas. I was rather proud of writing that. I got almost no people recognizing it. I was so upset over that.
Wow. I love the Ice Wizard though, dude. The funnel set with the Ice Wizard is like money. Like if you're doing a conventional attack, I mean, beautiful. Anyway.
All right, we got two more that I have written down. After that, we'll see what else comes from the chat, if anything. Wicked asks, and by the way, Wicked just came out with that excellent video for Clash Royale. It was featured in Game 2, where he had the Valkyrie beating down on the knight. It was a pretty great video if you guys haven't checked it out. I enjoyed watching it. He asks, gaming, he says, is in-game tournaments in the works, or are in-game tournaments in the works, or has this already been asked, he asked. So tournaments in game, kind of, I guess, a Clash Royale set type thing.
Yeah, it's for those who weren't watching earlier, it's something that we would like to do. Just have these ad hoc, makeshift tournaments that people can just host. Go to a bar or go to a gaming net cafe and just host their own tournaments. It is something that we'd like to do. It's not something that we're working on just yet, but it is something that we are concepting out to be able to just host their own tournaments. And so one of the things that we've been talking about on Clash of Clans is how, like I said, we want to shake conventions up in this year. But the other running theme is, one of the biggest points of feedback that we've been getting from the community is that the community feels like they've been left out. And what I mean by that is, there's not a whole lot for players to celebrate outside of the game when they hang out with their friends. It's not like they can just throw these tournaments together and do stuff. So when I was at our Tokyo office recently, the other Japanese community manager and I, we held a Q&A session with a bunch of Clash of Clans players. And it was we had a lot of fun. They were throwing hard questions at us. We had a couple of YouTubers, a couple of bloggers. So one of the things that would have been really cool is that when we had those players with us, just to throw a tournament and just have us go from city to city hosting these Clash of Clans tournaments. So it's something that we are laying the framework down for. How long it's going to take to do that, I don't really know, but it is something that we would like to do.
Okay. And we have one. This is a Clash Royale question, so I don't know if you're going to be able to answer it or if you want to, but Clash Captain asks, can we see individual rewards for clan games? Wait a second. What is it? Can we see individual rewards for clan games? So many individuals doing one event, no incentive to finish. Okay, that was not the Clash Royale question I thought we were getting. So he's asking about people that'll just go in there and do one thing to get themselves receiving the reward and then not doing anything else because they know they're going to get the top tier if their clan can pull it through for them. It's the same thing in Clash Royale with the, it's the same idea. If you get 1 star, you're going to be getting the reward with the clan.
So when it comes to the clan games, this is not an individual thing. It's a clan thing. And we want to make sure that whether you contribute, 50 points or 500 or 3,000 points, we want the entire clan to be rewarded. Now, I understand why there may feel like there is an imbalance of, who's being rewarded with what. But ultimately, it's a group effort. And let's say, if I have only an hour, a week to play, let's say I have a family. Let's say I'm married with kids and, that 1 hour of playtime is all I have.
Yeah.
We want them to still feel the reward of what everybody else is contributing. Now, with that being said, we are going to be adding more competitive elements to clan games later on, like clan leagues and competition leaderboards and things like that. But when it comes to within the clan itself, ultimately that's up to the clan itself to decide whether or not they want that person to be rewarded. If you find someone who is not contributing enough, or if you feel that person is just kind of coattail riding, that's up to that clan's leadership to whether they want to remove that person from the clan or not. And we left that like that intentionally because we wanted that clan social dynamic to kind of establish itself. It's up to the clan to communicate that.
Yeah, and I think that's good. I was actually going to say that if you didn't say it yourself. The best example is Clash Royale because it's been around longer. In requirements for clans, you have to meet certain milestones for these events to be part of that clan, and clans develop that stuff themselves, and stronger clans may have stronger requirements, and that's going to basically develop here. And if you have, if your clan is not meeting it, if you're not getting those top tier rewards, you may decide that you want to find a more serious clan, and. So I like that. I like that the clan can determine how that's going to work itself.
I think we got time for about 2 more questions.
Okay, well I have 2 up here right now. A asks, any plans of esports competitions like Clash of Clans similar to Clash Royale CCGS? Can it be a competitive sport, like an esport?
That's the question we're asking. We have an esports team in San Francisco, and I believe we have an esports department in China as well. And China is where there's a lot of esports that's growing right now, especially on mobile devices. And Clash Royale is kind of like the key game, and Brawl Stars is another one that we're looking at for esports. Mm-hmm. Clash of Clans, I don't know if it's in its current state, the way the game is designed. I don't know if it's ready for esports. It's not. I'm not an esports guy, so I really couldn't say for sure. But if we do go the esports route, we need to make sure that the game is as fair as possible and as competitive as possible. Mm-hmm. And that kind of we have to take a look at how the clan war system works and how the combat system works, and how bulletproof are we making the game to ensure players can't cheat. So these are fundamental foundations that we have to fix first before we start even looking at an esports game. And with Clash of Clans being almost 6 years old, is there a potential for it to move into the esports arena?
Right.
I don't.
It doesn't have the bones of a competitive esports style game.
Right.
So it would have to be revamped in a way to fit that. And like you said, it may not be worth it. It's not what it was intended for in the beginning.
Quick question from the audience here. I don't know, Darian, if you heard of the Clash Live event in Vegas, but I think somebody in the audience wants to know if any of the Supercell team is planning on attending.
I don't know anything about it. When is it?
I don't know. Audience, when is it? I know me and Echo can't attend, unfortunately, but I know there's a lot of people that are going.
Event, actually. And I'm gonna go. It's I'm gonna ask you one last question, and unfortunately, it's not a Clash of Clans question. It's a Clash Royale question. And this is the one that I was saying, not sure if you want to or can answer, but it will be our last question, and then we're going to just kind of sum things up and wrap it up here, guys. But Drew asks, and he probably asked about 10 times in the chat, in Clash Royale, are we going to see any sort of clan war-like competitions?
Is it in Clash Royale?
In Clash Royale, yeah.
Well, I have no idea.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think so. So that's the question we're going to end it on.
Well, Clash Royale is a completely different team with its own set of developers, own set of community managers.
Right.
Apart from sharing the same game universe, we actually work very rarely together. Apart from if we need an asset for like the Ice Wizard, since that's a Clash Royale thing, or the Giant Skeleton. But as far as game development goes, we're 2 separate teams. So they have. Apart from the game leads talking to each other, we do weekly updates on what each of the teams are working on. But apart from that, we see very little on the day-to-day of what they're doing.
Gotcha. So asking the question about Brawl Stars coming to Android, same type answer? And I'm only asking because Radical Rosh asked in the chat right now, and that man is like a beautiful artist, had to say something about it.
You're going to have to talk to Ryan, the Brawl Stars community manager, on that one. He's going to hate me for saying that. But yeah, pester him for that.
There you go. And just so you know, the Clash Live event is February 24th. So
I thought they said February 34th.
24th. No.
24th.
Impossible to attend if it were the 34th. So yeah. I guess we're going to
I don't know.
You don't know.
It'd be cool if I could, but I don't know if I can.
Yeah, fair answer. Guys, I think we're going to sum it up here. Before we close things out, I'm going to send the mic over to everyone here, to Goon and to Darian for any last words they want to say. But I do want to say thank you guys for coming out, the support for this episode of the Springtrap. Springtrap is only 10 episodes deep, and it's really been growing great. It's doing so well. So many people are really enjoying it, and Goon and I are loving doing it. The whole bringing in a new guest every week is just something that makes this show special, as well as those random questions that you guys asked that like to stump us. But we had a ton of donations come in throughout the stream, and I didn't want to keep cutting off the chat, but thank you guys so much for supporting monetarily. Thank you for supporting just by being here, by sharing it. And you guys have really been awesome as a community, both in Clash of Clans and for the Springtrap itself. 10 episodes in, we couldn't be happier with where it's going and where it's at this point in time. So just to thank you for the last hour and a half of you guys being awesome. Goon, I'm going to send it over to you, and then Darian, I'll let you say your last few words before we sign off.
I got to say the Clash love was real tonight, guys. Appreciate the donations. I'm really thankful for all you guys that showed up for this stream tonight. Darian, you especially. A lot of serious questions were answered tonight. Then again, there was a lot of tidbits left out, not answered, but yet we know something special is coming to Clash. So all of us from this episode of the Springtrap got a lot to look forward to in Clash of Clans. So cock love tonight, guys. You seen it here first, and I'm out of here. Darian, it's to you.
So, closing words. Just wanted to say thank you guys for having me. This was awesome. Love to hop on here again. And again, this year is going to be a huge banner year for Clash of Clans. There's a lot of exciting stuff that we're working on, and I want to make sure I'm tempering expectations, but it's hard to do that when you're so excited about what's coming this year. So a lot of things that the team is coming up with so much content this year. It's going to be, you're going to look at the end of this year, you're going to look like, oh my God, how much stuff did we get? So we're shaking a lot of conventions up. We're working a lot of cool stuff.
Awesome.
Now I remember what I wanted to say. Also, I'm gonna probably put any questions that I didn't answer on Reddit. I'll probably try to answer them as much as possible when I have some free time. Nice. So if there are any questions that were still lingering there, I'll hop on the Reddit page and try to answer them as well. Answer them as well.
That's
so
great.
Again,
cool.
Thank you guys for having me on here. It's been a lot of fun, even though it's now 6:30 in the morning.
6:30. That's dedication on a Sunday. It's not a working day for you. So we
hate
really
you guys so much for this.
Like Goon said,
thankful.
we're very thankful to have you on. I think this is the first time that you've actually been live on a show answering questions, which I think the community likes, because you're kind of on the hot seat a little bit. There's no prep. There's no, it was great. Thank you for coming on. You have an open invitation to come on the show anytime that you want. I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
I'd love to come again.
Yeah, awesome. And guys, thank you again so much. This is the Springtrap episode 10. We already have someone in the works for next week as our guest. It's going to be exciting. I'm going to keep that a secret until midweek when I'll share that with you guys. But it's been real. Your questions are great. I appreciate you guys being here. Episode 10 of the Springtrap is signing off. Take care, guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week on The Trap. Be good.